We're here to talk about the most polarizing basketball prospect in the history of high school basketball, Bronny James Jr., the son of the greatest player of all time. We all want to know, can he be his dad? Can he even play at a D1 level? These are all questions that are asked about Bronny every day. There's a section of people who want you to believe that he's only talked about because of his dad and he's really trash and he's really a 2-star, 3-star. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. The sky's the limit for him as a basketball player, and here's why. Bronny's game goes far beyond the stat sheet. You know, a lot of people who critique basketball, their go-to is scoring. A lot of the casual fan, that's definitely the thing they look for. They look at the stat sheet, they look who scored the most points. They may look at assists, they may look at rebounds, they may look at steals, blocks, just the raw numbers, but they don't see how those things happen and they don't see the flow of the game if you're just looking at the stats. Bronny James is way beyond the stats. His biggest strength is his IQ. It informs his game offensively and defensively. He's got more of his dad's mind than his body in terms of height and build, but he's still young. He's not 17 yet. He has time to grow. But even if the height doesn't catch up, he's a high major prospect just based off of his IQ alone. Makes the right pass, doesn't force anything, passes out of the pick and roll well, knows when to push it in transition and makes passes in tight windows. Another strength of his, and I think his best strength other than his IQ, is his on-ball defense. He stays in front of his man really well, makes it harder on the ball handler. He gets down in the stance, gets a lot of on-ball steals and blocks against guards, and even defends wings well. In the game they played against Bates Fundamentals, Imani Bates started to go off 3-4 possessions in a row. They stuck Bronny on him, and Bronny didn't even let him get a shot up for three possessions in a row. He's a guy you can stick on the other team's best offensive player with confidence that he'll make it really hard on him. He displays a lot of athleticism on the defensive end, like when he rises up for blocks, like the block he had against Indy Heat. Another strength of his is his shooting ability. He has 3-point range, has a nice form on his jump shot. He can get hot from 3, hit 5 or 6 in the game, as he's done a couple times this summer. He's good off the dribble, as well as the catch and shoot. One of the things he needs to improve on is his ball handling. He doesn't have a bad handle per se, it's just okay. If he wants to unlock his scoring ability, he needs to get his handle tighter. His handle is still good enough for him to perform straight line drives when he gets past his defender. He has enough strength to put his body on him and get past him. But if he can get his handle to another tier, it would unlock his scoring so much. He'd be a way better ISO scorer for sure. To get to his spots a lot easier. Another thing for him to improve on is his scoring consistency and his selfishness. No, he's not selfish now. He's actually the opposite. Too unselfish. Could be a symptom of his injury, but he's also just never been selfish enough as a scorer. At this age, while he's developing his game, he needs the ball in his hand. He needs more on-ball reps, more times taking shots, more times trying different moves in the game, seeing what he can do better with his body. More times just trying to score, just trying to go get a bucket. He has a skill set to be a super role player at the next levels, but if he wants to be a star or all-star / all-American at future levels, he needs to become more selfish as well as expand his ISO offense. In conclusion, I project a high major starter at the next level who could either be one and done or spend multiple years in college. A lot of factors will go into how this plays out, including his physical growth, skill growth, and willingness to stay in school. It's a tad too early for an NBA projection, but if I had to guess, his floor would be 3-and-D guard / wing, depending on if he grows from 6'3", maybe to 6'4", 6'5", that's maybe a 3-and-D guard. If he grows to 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", like his father, closer to his dad's height, then he'd be a 3-and-D wing for sure. So Bronny's sophomore year didn't go as planned for several reasons. He was slated to start at Sierra Canyon, actually started in the Arenado game, hit a few threes, he had 9 points, played some good defense. Then COVID happened and a lot of their games got canceled. Especially he had some big games coming up. He was supposed to play DJ Wagner. He's supposed to play Imani Bates. So just a few games that we were going to see his sophomore year, see how he progressed. He lost all that. A lot of sophomores lost that. So it's just not him, but he lost that sophomore year of starting and being a part of the offense. Then once his team was able to play, he got sidelined with torn meniscus. It kept him out for months. So they start playing again. He came back towards the end of the season, had some good moments, but it was just too late to integrate him. They got some new players. It was just too late. Transitioning into a summer with strive for greatness, he had an up and down summer scoring the ball. Oscillating between scoring high teens and then below 10 sometimes, but a lot of it was done efficiently. He had only a few games where he wasn't efficient. He had an EYBL game where he was off 10, but I actually like that. I like that he took a lot of shots. It's just that I would have preferred him to take some to the basket too. He set down back-to-back games on the same day, which if you don't know AAU, then you know those things happen, back-to-back games. You know, you play in the morning, you play at night, but he was load managing in that sense. But one thing that wasn't up and down was his defense. He played a supremely high level of defense this summer, getting on-ball steals and some highlight blocks. He also had some offensive highlights too, like he had 20 against Wildcat Select against Ian McNeely. I hope I'm saying his name right. I know the last name is McNeely. Really good player. He had some good defense against him, even though McNeely scored some points. 20 against Knight Riders. That's the latest one where he hit 6 threes, and he had a dunk in Akron that looked eerily similar to his father. All in all, I'd say he did well this year with what he could control, and he's looking strong heading into his junior year. Now we're at the part of the video that most of you are waiting for, and that's recruiting ranking. I don't know if this will change by the time the videos came out, but he's 30 on 24/7 Sports in the composite, 41 on ESPN, and 34 on Rivals. Will his ranking drop after this summer? I think it will, not because he's shown that he's not as good as people think he is, but a lot of other players have better summers. Regardless of circumstances, you know, you have to reward people. So I understand the infatuation with rankings. It's the easiest way to digest high school basketball. And I use them a lot myself. You know, no one has time to watch hundreds of high school players play multiple games, but I watch as much as I can, and I watch the guys that I talk about. Watching him and seeing other players in his class and past players, he's clearly a top 50 player even after the up and down summer scoring. But I think his real ranking will be closer to 20 by the time this whole class is done playing high school basketball. Some think he should drop down to, you know, only top 75, maybe even top 100. We shall see, but I caution everyone not to panic when it happens. It doesn't mean much. He's 16, he's going to be 17 soon, but he has 2 full years of high school basketball left. Now, I solicited some opinions on Bronny before the video because I didn't want to just only give my opinion. You know, that it's reminiscent of doing research papers in college. So Matt Norlander, I didn't actually solicit this. This was on an article he posted. He says he's regarded as a high major player, but the biggest question is how much he'll grow over the next 2 years. He's either 6'1" or 6'2", and evaluators I sat with pegged him as mostly someone in the top 75 to 100 of his class. I don't agree with him being 6'1" or 6'2". Like, I've been looking at a lot of videos trying to figure out his height. Some, like, he looks tall a lot, and then sometimes he doesn't look as tall as you think he would be. He looks close to Amari Bailey's height. I think he's 6'3" at least, maybe 6'4", but he's not 6'1". He's at least like 6'2.5" to 6'3". Steve Hellwagon, an OSU insider, I did ask this question. What's going on with Bronny's recruitment, things like that. He said, I think he's a good player, still just getting into his junior year. Time for him to grow and keep developing. I'm not sure he's national top 30 like he's ranked, maybe top 100. He plays up against older prospects but does not dominate necessarily. He has been injured. You would say that Duke has the inside track, but Coach K leaving could change that. OSU has not offered, but would likely if he expressed any interest. If he just said he wanted to go to OSU, Chris Holtman would offer him, I guess. Anonymous NBA scout via Kristen Peak. Bronny has been a positive surprise. He's shown me he's more than the last name. He can make shots and handle the ball. He's very even keeled for someone who's under the microscope. And then Mason Wolverton. Playing against the best possible competition, he held his ground to a high extent. His shot doesn't always fall, but he has good form off the dribble and off the catch. So to go along with the massive upside in that area, there are times now when he rains threes. And while he isn't too aggressive, he can finish at the rim soundly. But at the moment, his top skills are his defense and playmaking. He stays locked in on the assignment, sliding his feet, getting steals on the ball, and jumping lanes off the ball. And he finds and sets up teammates very well, holding a nice understanding of the game. The offers should start rolling in sooner than later. James is going to be awesome on future levels. Sounds like my scouting report. So me and Mason Wolverton got to connect or something, because that's like we got the same scouting report. And shout out to my guy at Prospect Expert on Twitter for giving me his scouting report. He said he ranked him in the 40s, and he's shown the ability to be a great role player when surrounded by lots of talent. He says he think he would shine if he played with his own age group, and he's guessing that his recruitment will start gaining some attention once his junior season starts. I expect him to play his role extremely well as a starting point guard of a loaded Sierra Canyon team. I don't expect the stats to pop out too crazy, but 10 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds, 1 block, and 2 steals seems like a doable stat line for him, and I think he'll look great doing it. I'm anticipating a lot of their games being on TV, including the expected rematch with St. Vincent St. Mary at Staples Center. He'll be a top 25 player in his class by the end of his junior year, I suppose. He has to really take the Kylan Boswell matchup very serious this year and try to prove a point against him. Boswell is also in Bronny's class, and he's a highly regarded point guard in California. One thing that mystified me about Bronny was the state of his recruitment. There hasn't been any news of interested schools or offers in a while, even though multiple 2023s and 2024s even are seeing their recruitments take off. This is the one thing I asked about that I couldn't really get an answer to, other than what Steve Hellwagon told me, which is that OSU would probably offer if Bronny was interested. Has me thinking that LeBron is keeping up a wall for right now and doesn't want Bronny dealing with the recruitment at this moment. Because even if thoughts on his game differs, he's universally regarded as a Division I prospect, and no small schools are even offering. Small schools in California should try to build a relationship now before big schools come in during his junior season. I mean, aside from the basketball talent, he would bring so much press and money to whatever school he chooses, and he's a great team player, so he wouldn't cry about playing time. But I do anticipate that it picks up soon. And plus, it would be hilarious if everything is going on behind the scenes and Bronny doesn't say anything until he picks his school. In 2 years, Bronny James will be graduating high school, and he'll either be picking college or picking a pro route. I think with LeBron being rich, Bronny will probably attend college. I don't know how long, but at least 1 year. And imagine the NIL opportunities. He'd probably be the first college athlete with his own shoe if Mikey Williams or Imani Bates don't do it first. So for that reason, I think LeBron encourages Bronny to experience college. For a player like Bronny, there are some places that make a lot of sense. Kentucky, Duke, Ohio State, Oregon, USC, Stanford, and North Carolina Central are Nike schools, and they make the most sense. North Carolina Central, if you guys remember, offered Bronny as a freshman, and HBCU, and I'd love for him to lead an HBCU movement and really star there and get the team to the NCAA tournament. UCLA, Michigan, and North Carolina are Nike/Jordan, which I think would be a hindrance since LeBron James has his own brand, and it would not make sense for his son and namesake to be wearing Jordan. If I had to dwindle down those options to 6, I'd say Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina Central, Ohio State, USC, and Stanford. My personal favorite pick, and probably the most likely pick if it starts picking up, would be USC. It's a Nike school, good academics, good athletics, stays in California, close to his family, and it would be an NIL gold mine for him, being in Los Angeles. So I'm gonna have to learn how to do jersey swaps. I may do one at the end of this video. Who knows? Depends if I have time to learn it. Well, that's it for us today. If you like this video, hit the like and subscribe button and look out for more sports videos on this channel. Get in the comments and tell me what you think about Bronny's game and what college you think he will attend. Have a good day and stand for something.